So this video is a warning. Scammers are out there and they're getting creative. This scam comes after guys like you and me that are just trying to find a good deal on firewood. Came across this on Facebook Marketplace the other day, and I've decided to document the conversation that I had. And you'll see later on in the conversation just how ruthless these guys are when trying to take your hard-earned money. I don't necessarily recommend engaging with scammers, but this guy I'd already had a conversation going with before I recognized it as a scam. So I decided to see how long could I go to figure out what the scam really was and how he operated. This is The Connoisseur. I'm Kyle, and this is my conversation with a real scammer. Okay, so I'm on Facebook Marketplace shopping for some oak firewood for the smoker. The supplier I usually go to, all they have of oak are smaller splits. That was the last batch I bought. They work, but they just burn too fast. Makes fire management a little bit more difficult. So I'm trying to find a good deal on some bigger oak splits, ideally somewhere close to Idaho Falls that I can go look at. Make sure it's good quality before I go pick it up. Occasionally you'll find some batches of wood that are for sale. I bought in fruit wood specifically here local a couple of times. And sometimes you get like other restaurants or whatever that are selling off an excess of wood that they have. So sometimes you can find deals on here. Anyway, so I searched for oak firewood. As you can see here, some listings come up. Got wood, dry firewood, firewood. None of it's oak. I've clicked through a bunch of these listings. None of it's oak or fruit wood or smoking wood. You get a lot of lodgepole pine, lodgepole pine cedar, 100% pine, just random firewood. 150, $200. You click on it, it'll tell you half cord, truckload, like what the quantities are. But $200 to $300 for a cord of just standard pine firewood seems to be about the average. When you do find hardwood or smoking wood, it tends to be quite a bit more. The place I get it in Salt Lake, they're about $600 to $700 a cord for oak, and just a little bit less than that for apple, which are the two woods that I typically use in the smoker. Anyway, scrolling through these listings, you start to see, like here's one, $1,000 oak, ash, elm, hickories. This is some hardwood. That's more of a price that I'd expect to see for hardwood. Pocatello, $250. Anyway, and then you get these ones that say sponsored. Now, if you're just scrolling through, it looks like any other ad or listing, with the exception of it doesn't have a price, it doesn't have a location. When you click on it, well, first of all, let's click on an actual Facebook Marketplace listing here. So you've got pictures. Usually you've got a price, you have a seller, a location, and that's how that's what most Facebook Marketplace listings look like. The sponsored ad, though, you click on it and it goes right to this chat window where right away it says, please let us know how we can help you. So automated, kind of a chat bot. So anyway, I see that. I click on a few of those as I'm scrolling through. Don't think much of it. And come back to my inbox, my Facebook Messenger inbox. A couple hours later, and I've got 4 of these chatbot message windows open with some follow-up responses. So 3 of them are from this Scott's Firewood and Home Delivery, 3 different accounts. You can see Scott's Firewood, and there was another one in there. 3 different accounts, different profile picture, different page technically that sent it, but all with this same intro message. Hi Kyle, please let us know where you're located for delivery. At this point, I'm thinking maybe it's somebody that collects leads through Facebook Marketplace and then sells those leads to actual firewood distributors once they find out where your location is. I know there's companies that do stuff like that. Like plumbers, for example, they might have an ad that says cheapest plumber in your area, and you click on it, they find out what your plumbing needs are, where you're located, and they connect you to a plumber that's actually in your area. It's a way that they make money. They collect leads and sell them to local businesses. So that's my thought on this, is probably it's somebody that finds firewood suppliers that are near where you're at and then connects you with them, and that's how they make their money. So I just copy and paste this response to these 4 different messages. I'm looking for white oak and apple. They say, where are you located? I say, Idaho Falls, Idaho. And then they respond, okay, a cord of oak delivered there is $250 and a half cord's $150. Now that's ridiculously cheap for oak firewood. That's like a third of what it would typically cost for a cord. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, this is probably not a lead, a lead page that it's trying to collect my info, because they're already giving me a price. It's a ridiculously cheap price. This is something's a little bit fishy here. My other thought is maybe this guy Scott is just has some wood he's trying to offload for cheap. But I say, where are you located? I'd rather pick up. This is kind of saying, hey, I want to see where this person's at. I want to make sure this wood's legit before I buy anything, so to speak. He says, we're located in Tahoe City, California. What quantity would you like to buy? I'm thinking, okay, Tahoe City. If this is a real person, I'm not going to buy from Tahoe without some confirmation that I'm getting a good product. So I say, I need to see the wood before I buy it. I'll keep shopping. Thank you. Trying to find a supplier within 2-hour drive of Idaho Falls. He responds, I understand you can be afraid of buying online, so you can do upfront and complete upon delivery. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, this is a little bit scammy here. Actually, we used to deliver cash on delivery, but lately we've been experiencing lots of disappointments where a client will place an order and give us an address. Upon reaching there, we won't find anyone at home, or they'll end up telling us they've ordered from somewhere else. So we only deliver wood that's been paid for. So they're playing the victim a little bit here, saying, hey, we've been lied to by customers, or stood up by customers, essentially. And so we only ship wood that's been paid for, sort of setting the stage and saying, hey, I'm going to ask you to pay for this wood before we ship it. At this point, I decided to start calling him out on the fishiness that I'm seeing. Why am I getting messages from 3 different accounts? He says, I don't understand. From my account, so I sent him a screenshot. Scott's Firewood and Home Delivery. Here's the messages I got there. Next one, Scott's Firewood and Home Delivery. Different profile picture. Here's the messages that he got there. Scott's Firewood and Home Delivery. Here's the messages I got there. So, yeah, interesting. So I see, and then I say, how can you deliver to Idaho Falls for only $250? So starting to kind of call him out on it as BS. He says, we have our company truck, so delivery is cheaper with it. And I said, from Tahoe? He says, we don't do a single delivery to one particular location. We make sure we have at least 3 orders for that location before we're delivering. It's cheaper selling more. So at this point, okay, this is obviously a scam. The English isn't great. He's not answering my questions. He's just giving me kind of glossed over answers to keep me engaged and kind of get to the point of selling some wood. So I decided to play along. And in the past, when I've messaged with scammers, like the gift card scam, where they'll pose as someone that you know and say, hey, I'm in dire need and I need you to, the only way you can help me is to buy $500 worth of gift cards and send me the codes for the cards. So in the past, dealing with those types of scammers, I've kind of made it a game to see how long can I string them on thinking that they're actually going to get some money out of me, and how much information can I get out of them in the meantime before I tip them off that I know that I'm on to them, basically. So I decided let's play around with this guy. I'm driving around running some errands. I'm doing this mostly voice to text through Facebook Messenger on my phone. So you'll see I've got some some typos that came up because I was doing voice to text on my end. But we'll interpret those as they come through. So let's see what we can do with this guy. He says, we already have an order from there, so the delivery will be there by tomorrow evening. If you can add yours, that will make it easier and great. So how convenient. He's already got wood shipping from Tahoe specifically to my location. Again, kind of greasing the wheels, saying, hey, there's a truck already on the way. You would think, to be more realistic, he'd say something like, oh yeah, 5 to 10 business days we can get a truck up there. But no, we can get wood up there tomorrow. Okay, and this comes into play later in the conversation, so remember this clip here. We already have an order from there, and delivery will be tomorrow evening. So I decided to say, decide to find out, what does this guy actually know about firewood? How much firewood conversation can I have with him, and kind of feel him out, see how much of his homework he's done. I say, what size are your oak logs? He says, we have it slit, which I've never heard of slit firewood. Maybe it's a thing. We have it slit, split, and round. The best you should take is slit. That's where we ask $250 for a cord. So I say, what size are the splits, though? How many inches long? He says 12 to 14 inches long and 3 or 4 wide. A little bit on the small side still. But I keep going. Any mold or mildew? The last wood I bought was pretty damp. This is me asking him if, how the quality of the wood. He says, no, our woods are well dried and burned perfectly. Okay. Of course he would say that. Reassurance that, we've got a good product. So again, this is Scott's Firewood and Home Delivery. So I say, are you Scott? And he says, yes, I am. And I said, good to meet you. He says, same here. This winter is becoming drastically worse. Make it small talk, I guess. I don't know. I say, yeah, I've only been to Tahoe once to ski. It was cold. He says some places are safe while others aren't. Don't know what safety has to do with the cold, but again, small talk. I give him a thumbs up. Then he's back to business. Are you placing the order for a cord or a half? I say, I go through a lot of wood. How many cords can you ship? My usual supplier is out of stock. That's why I reached out. He says the max we can ship to your location at the moment is 4, and 1 has already been placed, so only 3 can be available tomorrow. I say, okay, I'm interested in 3 cords. Can you send me a picture of the wood that would be shipping? This is kind of calling the guy out. I know you don't have wood. Can you send me a picture just out of curiosity to see what picture he comes up with to send me? I say, I like to see what I'm buying. He says, okay. And he sends me this kind of generic picture of a pile of firewood. I don't know that it's oak. I'm not that great at identifying wood species from pictures. It's a little more red than what I'm used to seeing for oak, but I know there is red oak. So it could be oak. Who knows? Then he sends me this picture, a little more close up. As you can see, they are perfect, he says. And then I said, can you turn one of those around? I need to see the wood, not just the bark. So he sends me a completely different picture of different logs where you can see the wood. I say, that's better. Thanks. He says 3 cords of wood will cost $750 shipped. I give him a thumbs up. And as I'm looking at this picture, I'm seeing mildew all over these logs. So I said, I thought you said it was dry. He says, it's perfectly dry. It burns smoothly. So I sent him back his picture, circling this area where it's covered in mildew. I says, they are covered in mildew. Now he says, no, they're good, buddy. Playing the buddy card here. So I ask him, what are the black spots? No wonder your prices are so cheap. So calling him out, saying, hey, you said your wood's dry, and this picture that you sent me, which I know is BS, is covered in mildew. So again, trying to see how long can I call this guy out before he gets that I'm onto him as a scammer. Just kind of toying with him right now at this point. He says cheap because we produce them cheap. Okay, don't know what that means. Have been in this for more than a decade and my record still stands great. Okay, so I went to his profile, which I don't think you can see anymore. But it's just a generic page. No contact info, no location. It just says Scott's Firewood and Home Delivery. Has some generic stock photos of firewood. Has like 15 or so posts, but they're all dated December 9th. So I call him out on that and I say, why do you have 0 ratings on your page? And all your posts are from December 9th. And here's where he starts getting into a little bit of gibberish. Created this new since we were busy at the field, but everything will go okay since we are building this one as a new one this winter season. Okay, good work, Scott. That makes sense, I said. At this point, I'm just, again, toying with him, trying to keep him engaged. Do you know people are stealing your pictures? So in the meantime, while I was waiting for his response, I took the pictures that he'd sent and did a Google reverse search on them. The big picture with the pile of firewood was from somebody else's Facebook ad in, I think, Indiana. The other 2 pictures, well, you'll see here in a second. I said, you know, people are stealing your pictures, trying to pretend like I'm still on his side here, and rather than accusing him of stealing pictures, saying, hey, somebody's stealing the pictures. He says, that's common online. I'm not even going to read this part because just how terrible it is, but you can see it on the screen here. It's common online, you know how terrible those, etc. I say, I wouldn't call them that. That's racist, even if they are being immoral. He says, yeah, that's true. And I said, yeah, these guys stole your picture you just sent me. Funny how they got it so fast. Because when I asked him for a picture, I meant, hey, go out and take a picture of the wood that you're loading onto the truck. So when he sent it to me, it was under the expectation of, hey, this is wood that, this is the actual wood that I'm buying. That's kind of what I was implying when I asked him for a picture. So I sent him a screenshot. Here's the mildew logs from Remington Firewood. And honestly, no knock against Remington Firewood. That amount of mildew on the wood is totally fine. It'll burn off, no problem. But I specifically asked him if there's mildew, and he said no, and then he sent me a picture of wood covered in mildew. So anyway, no knock on Remington firewood. I'm sure the wood's just fine. By most wood that I get, especially if you're anywhere in a colder, more damp climate, it's going to get mildew on it. But anyway, and I said, and this one, and this is Hardwood Bros. I think both these guys are located in the Midwest or East Coast, somewhere along there. But anyway, there's that picture. And he says, OMG, that's terrible. Be careful, buddy. And I said, for sure. Seems you can trust anyone these days. I meant to say can't trust. Voice to text there messed that up. He says, yeah. And now I'm just like, want to kind of play with him and get into his head a little bit. Have you sold a lot of wood today? Again, trying to make small talk, trying to get him to open up or trip up or contradict himself or do something. I don't know. I'm just playing with him. Only took 2 orders today to deliver tomorrow. We were out of stock for some days now. And I said, and you said your truck can be in Idaho tomorrow evening. Here's where he starts to, I don't know, kind of backpedal a little bit on what he said earlier. He's like, we have a truck heading your way. We can just put a couple more cords on for you. And now he says, if we get an average order from there tomorrow, told you we already have one registered, one, so probably. Now he's kind of saying, if we get an order, we already have one, so probably. Okay, so now I've decided to, let's see how far this guy's willing to go to take my money. I've done this with the gift card scammers before, saying, hey, I've got $500 in my bank account, but I need it to buy groceries. My kid's sick. I got to buy his medication. So I really need you to pay me back today. And they're like, oh, yeah, no problem. We'll take care of you. So I wanted to see if this guy would do the same thing or if I can get him to crack and show some humanity here. But we'll go ahead and get into it here. So I said, okay, I need the wood to cook for an event this weekend. It's my sister's wedding, 450 guests. That's the biggest crowd I've ever cooked for. I'm a little bit nervous, but knowing that I'll have enough wood to cook everything will help. Can you guarantee it will be here by tomorrow or Thursday? So I'm giving him a 2-day window here. Just made that up. It wasn't my sister's wedding, but and he says, if you make payment, I will get it to you tomorrow. That's 100%. I could have it shipped overnight. So he's been telling me, yep, we've got an order heading your way. We've got an order heading your way. We'll just add it to that truck. And now he's saying, I could have it shipped over tonight, as if this is a new idea. Like homeboy's trying to Amazon Prime me 10,000 pounds of firewood overnight. So I'll get it there tomorrow. Okay. Just so you're aware, other places that I've reached out to and got quotes, it's probably like to ship that far is going to be like $500 or $600 in shipping for 1 cord of wood. So, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's a couple weeks lead time. So he said, so we'll get there tomorrow. I said, okay, everyone's looking forward to a good meal at the wedding, and they'll be disappointed if it doesn't show up. So showing some humanity on my end, saying, hey, there's a lot on the line for this. This isn't just a transaction for me. Like, this is a big deal. He says, I completely understand, so you got nothing to worry about, but all depends on how quickly you purchase it. So he's going for the jugular, saying, if you buy it now, we'll get it to you. Now, this is where I wanted to see if he would try to get some more money out of me for doing overnight shipping, even though this whole time it's been an overnight deal, and now this is like some new idea. Hey, I'll ship it overnight. So I say, how much extra to ship overnight? He says, probably $100. I need to know your address, where exactly you want it shipped. So now I'm thinking I can mess around with him with the address. I want to drop some hints that I've talked to scammers before, and I'm like, okay, let's see how blatant I can be that I know he's a scammer and still have him not catch on to what's going on. So I say, I might need you to deliver it to my work because there's not much room at my house. How big is your truck? And how it doesn't have a way to unload the wood. Also, is the wood in pallets or boxes? So he's asking for an address. I'm trying to get some logistics out of him. Like, okay, it depends on how you're going to drop it off. It might be at my work versus my house. He says pallets will do best, but which do you prefer? Again, this is a truck that's supposed to be at my house in the next 16 hours or so. It's a 10-hour drive from where he's at. And he doesn't know, like, it should already be packaged some way to just load in the truck and start driving. Like, this driver is probably, if this was real, would be like, hey, we got to go right now if I'm supposed to get there tomorrow night. He says, okay, when you send me your address, send me the address of your work. And he says, yeah, it does, probably meaning that the truck has a way to unload. I said, perfect, let's do pallets. He says, okay. Now, at this point, I Google the address of an FBI office. Like, he already knows I'm in East Idaho. So I try to find an FBI office in East Idaho. I Googled the address. There's one at this Pole Line Road in Pocatello. I sent him that address. And he says, okay, what method of payment works for you? He thumbed up the address. I want him to look this address up and realize that this is an FBI, an FBI office here. So I say, can you do a Google Street View of that address to make sure it looks like your truck can deliver there? He says, yep, I just did, and it can be delivered there. So he didn't Google it, otherwise he'd have seen it was FBI. Or maybe he did and he didn't care. I don't know. Either way. So now I want to kind of put him on the spot about his location. So I said, I just called my brother. He lives in Sacramento. He can bring you a check in about an hour. I don't have a brother in Sacramento. I made that up. I'm not comfortable making payments over the internet. And he offered to help me pay because it's our sister's wedding and I don't have a lot of cash right now. I need to buy food for my kids tonight. So that part's true. I did need to buy food for my kids that night. He says, not comfortable making payments, you got nothing to worry about. Once it's been registered for shipping, I'll send you the tracking details so you can see how it's been shipped. And I said, okay, I work hard for my money and I have to make a choice. Either I buy this firewood to make my sister happy on her wedding, or I buy food to feed my family. I'm just afraid if I make a purchase over the internet, I might lose the money. So I'm trying to pull at his heartstrings a little bit and say, hey, there's a lot on the line for me on this end. I want to see if I can get this guy to crack and say, you know what? Don't spend your money here. This is a scam. I apologize for wasting your or maybe even just stop responding to me. Have a little bit of heart. Try to pull at his heartstrings a little bit. Do you have children? If you do have children, you understand my concern. That's why I'd rather have my brother bring you a check. He's already on his way to Tahoe City right now. What's your address so he can meet you? So like put some pressure on. Hey, somebody's on the way at you right now. Somebody's on their way towards you right now to make a payment for this. I really need this to go through. I need this money for my family. He replies to my first comment about working hard for my money. He says, you're not going to lose anything. Like I said, you got nothing to worry about. I've been doing this for years. I'll say I haven't had issues with anyone. I say, okay, it'll be a wedding feast to remember. So trying to pretend like, okay, I'm a little bit reassured about what you're saying. And I say, what type of payments do you accept? He says, Zelle and Apple Pay. And then to the wedding feast comment, he says, okay, and I guess she'll be very happy if you get this for her. Yes, she will, I said, and my children will finally get to eat again. Have your children ever been hungry? He says, oh, yeah, at times when things aren't going well. I say, for sure, I can relate. I let my children know that we are saving all of our money for my sister's wedding feast, and this firewood will make some delicious barbecue for us all. They are excited. What's your phone number to send you Zelle? Now, I'm a real estate agent by day, and we have an app that we use just to do a quick check on numbers that we don't recognize before we meet a client, just to make sure that they're a legit person, because we do get scammers. That's other scams that I've dealt with. We do get scammers in real estate that try to scam real estate agents, essentially. So I'm trying to get a phone number out of this guy so I can look him up and see. It's most likely a burner phone if he did give me a number, but at least see if I can find some details about where this number actually is and call him out on that. Say, hey, why does your number say it's in such and such a location when you're telling me you're in Tahoe? He didn't respond for a minute, so I said, Scott? And he says, Zelle, and sends me this address. nagritassovel@gmail.com. Nothing to do with Scott's firewood. I don't know what this means. It looks Spanish. Anyway, that's the email address that he gave me for Zelle. And then in response to my comment about my children being excited for my sister's wedding, he says, I got the feelings there after hearing that. It's a great idea for getting the woods for her. Send me a screenshot once payment is sent so I can confirm with our cashier. And I say, I'm trying to hurry. I'm sure you and your cashier want to go home for the evening. Zelle is not working. Do you have a phone number I can try instead of email? Again, just trying to fish for this guy. As much information as I can get from this guy. I don't know what I would end up doing with it other than just call him out on his BS. He says, can't send through the email. What does it says? And then in response to my comment about hurrying, he says, no, I'm here waiting, so I will know if it's shipped tonight. I say, I appreciate your patience. It says unable to send at this time. He's asked for a screenshot. I just Google a screenshot of Zelle error message, and this comes up. So I send this to him. Just says unable to complete. Please call the Zelle hotline. He says, okay, only Zelle you got. And I said, sorry, I just checked. My bank balance is too low. We could try something else. So that's this point I'm trying to say, hey, I don't really actually have the money to pay for this. Then I try to say, this is voice to text. I said the last scammer, but it changed it to shamer. So sorry if your last name's Shamer. I wasn't trying to call you a scammer, but anyway, the last scammer I dealt with tried to get me to pay him with Google Play gift cards. I still have $1,000 balance on the cards. Can I send that to you instead? Let me know if that works for you. So I'm trying to say like the last scammer I dealt with, like, hey, I know you're a scammer. The last guy wanted to pay me this way. Do you like kind of tongue in cheek, which he doesn't get it at all. He just says Venmo gift card. I say, yeah, Venmo won't work either. I don't have enough balance on my account, like I said in my last message. And he says, not sure on the Google gift cards, but we could try that if it's all you got. So this guy's getting a little bit desperate. He's like, well, let's just try the gift cards. Better than nothing. At least I can tell my boss I made a sale today. Now at this point, like, I've hinted that I've talked to scammers before. I've let this guy know that I don't have a lot of money. I've called him out on using other people's pictures, kind of reverse called him out. Like, let him know that I'm aware that those pictures are elsewhere on the internet, essentially. Called him out on having multiple accounts messaging me. Called him out on his ability to actually ship 3 cords of firewood for that cheap overnight to Idaho Falls. I've sent him a fake address for the FBI. Fake address, which is the actual FBI office. At this point, I'm like, man, this guy either knows I'm onto him and just has some little small glimmer of hope that I might actually send him money, or he's just completely clueless and missing all of the hints that I've been sending him that, hey, I know he's a scam. So I decided to circle back to the FBI address and I say, hey, I might have made a mistake. Can you Google that shipping address again and tell me what business comes up? I might have sent you the wrong one. So at this point, it's getting late. I just want to be done with this guy, wrap this conversation up, and just I want to see how he responds to finding out that I know he's a scammer. Because I've had people just swear at me. I've actually had people that gave me their phone number and I called them and told them over the phone that I knew they were a scammer and they just hung up and blocked my number. Yeah, and I've had people at the end of a text message, hey, F you for wasting my time. It's like, no, F you for trying to steal people's money. Anyway. So he says, okay, checked and confirmed likewise, you got the Google Pay. Do you make a lot of money doing this? At this point, I'm like, I'm just going to talk to him as a person. Like, let the guard down, stop playing the games, and just talk to him as a person and see if I can get him to admit that he's a scammer and find out some more info about him. But do you make a lot of money doing this? He says, doing what? Doing what you're doing right now. He says, I'm not getting you. I said, does your family know what you do for work? Like, trying to guilt this guy a little bit. Assume it's a guy. I have no idea who it is. Do you do this alone or are you on a team? I still don't get what you're trying to say here, he says. So now I just come clean. My friend, I know we all need to make a living, but pretending to sell firewood and taking innocent people's money is not acceptable. You can use your creativity and energy to do good. You'll be rewarded far more in life. I do need firewood, but I lied about the wedding. Also, the address I sent is not my work address. It's the FBI office address. There's a better life for you. Please go find it. I got the notification that he read those messages. And now, when I try to message him again, it just says couldn't send. So he blocked me. That was his response. So anyway, that's my conversation with a scammer. It's always interesting. One of these days I'll actually get through that wall of the scam and have a conversation with somebody after they know that I know. And I'm looking forward to getting to that point and seeing what, I'd just like to know, do these people, are they pressured into doing this? Is this their own choice? I know a lot of these people work in big call centers. How did they end up doing firewood? If you go back to Facebook Marketplace and look at ads for firewood, these ads come up all over the place. So somebody found out that this scam works and you can get people to send you a down payment for firewood that you never plan to ship. So just curious what's going on in these people's minds, what's going on behind the scenes here. But I can't get anybody to stay on the line long enough to come clean with any of that. And probably if they are working for a boss or in a group, there's probably some consequence on their end if they spill the beans and anything. So they're probably just instructed to cut off the conversation once they're found out, which he did. So anyway, yeah, these scams are real. These people are out there. They're creative. They will stop at nothing to get your money. They don't care what your situation is. If they can get $1 or $100 or $1,000 from you any way possible, they will. So beware of who you talk to. I went on a few of these other pages. Most of the times the comments are all deleted on any of their posts. There was a couple of them I saw that they hadn't deleted the comments yet, and there were people in the comments saying that they had been scammed by this person. So these people are making money doing this because people are moving too fast, not paying attention. If you're online ordering anything, if you're on Facebook Marketplace, make sure it's a legit person. Make sure they're local to your area. Do not send them any money until you have a meetup plan with them to actually view the product that you're buying. Make sure it's legit. Meet people in a safe place. There's story after story of people getting robbed or worse when they meet in person. Also, story after story like this, I'm sure, out there of people who have sent money and never received a product in return. So that is, that was my conversation with this scammer. I'm going to go through, every time I click on one of these firewood ads, I get that default message. I'm sure it's the same people. The ads have way too much in common to be different groups. I might try to get one of these conversations going live and do a live on this at some point, and just see, have fun with it. But anyway, thanks. Well, there you have it. Again, I do not recommend engaging with spammers like this. People are out there trying to steal your information. It can be dangerous. Just remember to be alert when you're looking at anything online. Chances are someone's out there that wants to steal your money. We want to put that money towards good barbecue, not line somebody's pockets that is illegally scamming people out of their hard-earned money. Anyway, thanks for watching.